Using learning centers in Christian education for children is probably the best approach that we have. Whether it's within the same classroom, and there are tables set up around the classroom, each center being a different topic, or whether it's expanded into rooms, different rooms, and groups of children physically go from one room to another room. The advantages of it and the beauty of it is that you get to address all the different learning styles that children have. It can be used for any age, up through adults. We know that adults learn in different ways too. But for the young boy in your class who just can't be still to listen to a 30-minute lecture on Zacchaeus, to give him the opportunity to actually climb up a ladder with a costume on and be Zacchaeus fits his learning style, and he goes home having become Zacchaeus and learning that story.
Learning centers are a wonderful place to invite children to come and to be able to use their natural curiosity along with their emerging skills and talents and use them in a productive way. Learning centers also help a teacher with classroom management. When the child is engaged in an appropriate activity, it is such an assist to the teacher who is trying to take care of numerous children in the classroom.
Everybody has a way that they learn best. And the wonderful thing about learning centers is you can go and experience the Bible stories in whatever way you learn best. And one of the things that I have loved about this way of learning is that it can always be fresh and new and updated. It doesn't become old and stale. And I think that's one reason why people continue to go back to it, and once they start it, often find it very difficult to go back to just one teacher or two teachers in a classroom setting.
The biggest challenge that we have with learning centers is the upfront preparation. This is not a Saturday night throw it together mode of teaching. With learning centers, because you are presenting the same material but in a variety of ways, you have to prepare. You have to pray about it, think about it, plan for it, gather supplies and materials, and physically go and lay it out. This is not something you can walk into your classroom 10 minutes before your students arrive and throw it out on the tables. It just doesn't work. So one of those big challenges is preparation. The flip side of that preparation is once it's done, you are set for several weeks. If you are going to spend 3 or 4 weeks on one story, in order to allow the children to experience it more than one time in a different way, then you set it up once and you sail through the rest. The other huge advantage of that is the teacher gets to enjoy the story. They are not so consumed after week 1 with the preparation that they can relax then and enjoy the story with the children.
One of the common mistakes that a teacher might make is feeling that unless a center is used every week, that something's wrong with the center. Many times, children are so engaged in other centers, they just haven't had a chance to come to this one center that you think needs to be changed. Give them more time. You might sit in that center yourself, which will always bring over a child or two. And once the child has started in that center, you will be amazed with what they do. One child may engage another, and all of a sudden, the center has taken off. Children many times will start on one level, but learn from their peers a new concept, a new idea, and you'll find that the center has taken off. If after a period of time it still isn't working, instead of just taking the center away, think, what is wrong with the center? What can I do to change it? With older children, it's sometimes fun to engage them in putting together the center. What would you like to see in this center? They will come up with ideas you never dreamed of.
In your church, you may share space with any number of other activities that happen during the week. And it might be important for you to put away your learning center and then be able to bring it back out on Sunday morning. And I have found that if you can find a plastic box or a tote bag or just a cardboard box, something that you can label and put all of your items into one box, one bag, put them away in a closet somewhere, and then be able to bring them back out on Sunday, then you still have the illusion that you've left it up all week long. Everything is still ready and set up the same way for your students to come. If you are putting your centers away every week, one of the things that might be helpful is to bring in a digital camera and take a picture of how you set up each learning center. So when you come back, you can set it up the exact same way. Or if there's another person that needs to come in and set the centers up for you, then they know the proper way to do it.
When I wanted to learn about learning centers or rotational learning, which was the same thing but repackaged for a new day, I first went and found other churches who were doing it. I could read about it. I could read the setup of the room. I could see diagrams about it, but I just couldn't get it in my head what it actually did. And I certainly couldn't see the value of it until I saw it in action. So I looked around, called my local presbytery office, regional office, and went and found churches that were using it. Because once you see it live and in person, it changes your entire perspective.
At first, when you approach a learning center, it may seem a bit overwhelming. But if you take your time and realize that it is really not a scary thing to do, but it's very simple once you get started. Begin with thinking in small terms, not large terms. What are the types of materials that are appropriate for the children? What are the ages of the children? How many children will you have in a classroom? And what is your goal for teaching that unit? Also, with a learning center, you will probably find that you do not need to make it overly elaborate. Considering the age of the child, young children, the 3-year-old will need very few choices. Too many choices overwhelm a child. But the more sophisticated 5-year-old is able to make choices from any number of activities and pieces of the puzzle, if you will. In a dramatic play setting, you may have just very few props for the 3-year-old, but the 5-year-old becomes elaborate in their thinking, and they keep expanding on the concept, and they keep growing with it. You will grow with the child. One of the best pieces of advice that I have for the newly starting teacher is to let the child lead you. You will be surprised with where they take you.